Welcome back to the Wijnland family. I'm going to introduce another embryologist and one of our staffs here. Before we're going to do that, I would like to share something with you that embryo selection in South Africa for gender is forbidden. So normally we're not allowed to do sex selection when it comes for female or male little babies. But we're quite lucky when it comes to staff. We are allowed to make these kind of sex selections. So I'm going to introduce Dylan. He's one of our male embryologists, maybe some of the few in South Africa, and also his colleagues call him Bestie. So I'm going to introduce Bestie Dylan, our embryologist. Hi Dylan, I would like you to tell us a little bit more about yourself.
Hi everybody, my name is Dylan. I am an embryologist, and as Lazan said, one of the few male embryologists out there. I am very passionate in the field of embryology, and just a little bit of personal things about me. I live in Cape Town. I studied at Stellenbosch. I did an undergrad in BSc. I did my honours, and then I did my master's thereafter, both in the field of embryology and both at Stellenbosch University. I'm very passionate about patient care, and I'm also very passionate about animals, and specifically dogs, more specifically. I'm very passionate about pugs. I have a pug of my own at home, and she is basically like a child to me.
Dylan, you also did a very interesting study with Wijnland Fertility, and it's all about morphokinetics. Can you please explain to our patients what is this all about? I also know at the moment that the word morphokinetics is a very important word in the embryology field, and everybody is talking about it. So go ahead and tell them what's your study all about.
Yes, Lazan, that's completely correct. I was very fortunate to have had the opportunity to do my master's study at Wijnland and work with the phenomenal Embryoscope. So just a little bit of background behind the Embryoscope. It is an incubator. It's a specialized incubator that we use for growing embryos. Standard incubators, to view an embryo, you need to take the embryo out of the incubator, disturb its natural environment, quickly look what the embryo's quality is, and then put it back into the incubator. With an Embryoscope incubator, it takes pictures of your growing embryo every 5 to 10 minutes so that we have a video recording of the development of what that embryo goes through. And that development, or the recording of it growing, that is what we call morphokinetics. So my study was on the Embryoscope culture, and I compared fresh eggs to frozen eggs and how they compared in terms of performance, and I wanted to validate our freezing program, which I did.
Dylan, so what I'm hearing is that you try to tell us that when we're frozen and unthawed our eggs, that's how that you can evaluate them and see how they perform. Is that correct, what I understand?
Yes, so basically what I wanted to find out was that because there's a massive drive in today's society for women to freeze their eggs, and there's a lot more awareness around not only female but male as well, but in my case for my study, female fertility preservation, I want to see that, it's all good and well to freeze your eggs, but how do those frozen eggs compare with their fresh counterparts? So my study validated the freezing program, and it also validated to say that, patients that have a low ovarian reserve or struggle to get a lot of eggs, overpooling is also a very good option for them, and I validated that as well within my study.
Dylan, may I ask you, how long can we keep these frozen eggs with us?
Lazan, we can technically keep them indefinitely as long as they are covered in liquid nitrogen. They are kept in a tank filled with liquid nitrogen, which is at a temperature of minus 196 degrees, and that keeps them frozen in their glass state. As long as we keep the tanks full, they can be kept forever.
And is younger people's women's eggs doing better than older women?
Yes, so I'm not sure if anybody, or if you have probably heard this before, but just to reiterate, with the increase of age, for females specifically, there's a decrease in egg quality. So I think that can also then be transcribed into the freezing protocol. So if you freeze younger eggs, they will have a higher outcome, or they'll have higher chances at success than if you freeze older eggs.
And what is research telling us? If I want one baby of about 15 eggs, how many frozen eggs do I need to have one baby?
So, Lizanne, that depends on your age, and it again relates to the quality of your eggs. So the younger you are, the fewer eggs that you will need. The older you are, the more eggs that you will need. The research says that if you're younger, so if you're below the age of around 35, you will need around 10 to 15 oocytes to secure yourself a healthy live birth. If you're over the age of 35 or 38, you will need more than that to secure yourself a live birth.
Dylan, my last question to you is, it's coronavirus here with us. We have these chats now for weeks now. How is you as a person, how you as an embryologist doing at work at the moment? Is it difficult to come to work? What is the impact on the embryologists at work with coronavirus?
Yes, Lizanne, that's a very relevant topic, especially now during these very uncertain and tough times. I think, across the country, we're all feeling it emotionally, financially, and, I think because the lockdown has continued for so long, we're all getting a little bit, I think, frustrated, and we can't move, we're stuck in our little spaces. So, in that regard, for me, coming to work is actually really nice. It's a nice break from that kind of monotonous routine. But in the beginning it was quite scary, especially when there wasn't a lot of information out. But now during level 4, we're very comfortable in our strict corona hygiene protocols, and we're very confident that we are doing the best that we can to keep our patients safe as well as our staff.
And I know we was worried about the embryos as well. So what are we doing now with the embryos during our treatment plans during the coronavirus?
Yes, so Lizanne, we've been very, very cautious. From the start of corona, the outbreak of corona, we have always looked towards guidance to the ESHRE committee, which is a European reproductive medicine committee, and we've also looked towards our South African committee, and we've always followed all the guidelines that they have published. And a lot of the guidelines, like with all the guidelines during corona, have changed along as soon as people get more information around it. So in the beginning, our guidelines were very strict. We kind of wanted to prevent people, or not prevent people, we wanted to rather freeze embryos instead of putting them back in case that it had an effect on pregnancy. But now with the more information that we know that our treatments are safe. So we are now continuing with transferring embryos and going forward with all of our elective procedures.
I actually know why the rest of the team, the embryology team, telling you bestie, because you know a lot and use a lot of value to our team. And thank you for all the effort you're putting in with male fertility, because that's also part of your journey with us. So Dylan is running our andrology part as well and taking care of the male fertility. So it's really nice to have him here and part of our Wijnland team.